Good morning, students. Unit-1 Basic Concepts of Chemistry and Chemical Calculations. In this session, I am going to teach empirical formula and molecular formula. Empirical and molecular formula. Okay, so empirical and molecular formula. Do you know the formula of acetic acid? CH3COOH. The number of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen present in the acetic acid is number of carbon and number of hydrogen and number of oxygen present in the acetic acid is carbon, 2 carbon, 1, 2, so 2 carbon, hydrogen 3 and 1, 4, 4 hydrogen and oxygen 2 oxygen, right? The ratio of the carbon and hydrogen and oxygen in the acetic acid. Okay, so the ratio carbon is to hydrogen is to oxygen is 2 is to 4 is to 2. 2 is to 4 is to 2. Are you right? So the simplest ratio of the acetic acid. The simplest ratio of the acetic acid, so divided by the common number, so 2. Okay, so 2 divided by 2, 1 is to 2 is to 1. Are you right? So write the atomic symbol CHO and subscript the number in the atomic symbol 1 to 1, so that is equal to CH2O. Okay, so this formula is molecular formula of acetic acid. This formula is empirical formula of acetic acid. So define empirical formula. The empirical formula written with the simplest ratio. The empirical formula written with the simplest ratio. The simplest ratio of the different number of different atoms. Number of different atoms present in the one molecule of the compound. Present in the one molecule of the compound as subscript to the atomic symbol. Subscript to the atomic symbol. Okay, right? So define empirical formula. Define empirical formula, right? The empirical formula written with the simplest ratio. The simplest ratio of the number of different atoms present in the presence in one molecule. One molecule of the compound. One molecule of the compound. right? So one molecule of the compound has subscript to the atomic symbol. Atomic symbol, right? So define empirical formula. The empirical formula written with the simplest ratio. Written with the simplest ratio of the number of different atoms. Number of different atoms present in one molecule of the compound. Present in one molecule of the compound as subscript to the atomic symbol. Subscript அப்படினா கீழ. Okay, so ஒவ்வொரு சிம்பலுக்கும் கீழ அதனுடைய simplest ratio எழுது. Okay students, so molecular formula அப்படிங்கிறது CH3COOH, right? ஒரு simplest ratio of empirical formula, acidic acid உடைய empirical formula CH2O. Okay, so define molecular formula. Define molecular formula, right? The empirical formula written with the simplest ratio. The molecular formula written with the actual number of different atoms. Okay, so simplest ratio. Molecular formula is actual ratio. Okay, so the molecular formula formula written with the actual number of different atoms. The actual different atoms. Okay, so the actual number of different atoms. The actual number. So simplest ratio in empirical formula, in actual ratio, in actual number of different atoms present in one molecule of the compound. One molecule of the compound. The actual number of atoms. Okay, so of the compound as subscript to the atomic symbol. To the atomic symbol. Are you right? So the empirical formula is a simplest ratio, right? 1:2:3. In empirical formula is a simplest ratio, and molecular formula is a actual ratio, right? So the molecular formula of acidic acid CH3COOH or C2H4O2. The empirical formula of acidic acid CH2O. Okay students. So the empirical formula is the simplest ratio. The empirical formula is a simplest whole number ratio. Okay, so the empirical formula is a simplest whole number ratio. Okay students, the next one is the determination of empirical formula. The determination of empirical formula from the elemental analysis data. Right? Okay students, the determination of empirical formula. Determination of empirical formula from the elemental analysis data. So example, An acid found in tamarind. The tamarind contains tartaric acids. An analysis shows the following percentage composition: 32% of carbon and 4% of hydrogen and 64% of oxygen. Find the empirical formula of the compound. Find the empirical formula of the compound, right? So that compound contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen elements, right? So which of the element present in compound? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay, so first element. Okay, so carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Right? So the step one, mass percentage. The mass percentage is converted to grams. Alright? The composition is expressed in percentage. We can consider the total mass of the compound as 100 gram. Total mass of the compound as 100 gram. Right? So the individual percentage of the element as mass in gram. Right? So எல்லாமே percentage கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Total 100%. So அத கிராம்ல 100 gram total mass அப்படின்னு வச்சுக்கிறோம். Okay, so வச்சிட்டு ஒவ்வொரு எலிமெண்டோட individual percentage கிராமா சொல்றோம். Okay, so next, so percentage in gram. So percentage, the composition is expressed in percentage. So we can consider the total mass of the compound as 100 gram. The percentage value of individual element as mass in gram. Okay, so carbon 32%, so 32 gram. And hydrogen 4%, 4 gram. Oxygen 64 gram. Okay, so step 2. In step 2, okay, so calculate the relative number of moles. The next, relative number of moles. Already you know that number of moles is equal to mass by molecular mass or molar mass. Mass by molecular mass or molar mass, but element, carbon, hydrogen element, so mass by atomic mass. Okay, so step 2, divide the mass of the each element. Divide the mass of the each element by the atomic mass to get relative number of moles. Okay, so atomic mass or molar mass. The molar mass of the element. Okay, carbon 12, hydrogen 1, and oxygen 16. The molar mass of the element, carbon 12 gram, hydrogen 1 gram, and oxygen 60 gram. Okay, so next, the step 3. Calculate the simplest value. Calculate the simplest ratio value. Calculate the simplest ratio value. The step 2, relative number of moles. Relative number of moles. Okay, so divide the mass of the each element. Divide the mass of the each element by its atomic mass. So 32 by 12 and 4 by 1 and 64 by 16. Okay, so the relative number of moles. The relative number of moles 32 by 12, 2.66, 2.66. Okay, so students take log in 32 and 12. So 32 log parunga 1.32 la log parunga and 12 log parunga. Log பார்த்துட்டு இத subtract பண்ணிருங்க. பார்த்துட்டு ஆன்டி லாக் பாருங்க 2.66. Okay, so 4 by 1 4, 16 64 by 16. So 4 into 16 64 4. Okay, the relative number of moles in the compound is 2.66 4 4. Okay, so the step 3. Next, simplest ratio value. So step 3, simplest ratio value. So how to calculate simplest ratio value? Divide the relative number of moles obtained. Divide the relative number of moles obtained in the step 2. Step 2 by the smallest number of them. By the smallest number of them. Okay va? So relative number of moles step 2 la nama kandupidichirukom. Okay, so அத 2.66 4 4 அத இதுல இருக்கக்கூடிய நம்பர்ல எது smallest நம்பரோ அதால டிவைட் பண்ணிடுங்க. Okay, so divide the relative number of moles obtained in the step 2 by the smallest number of them. So smallest number 4 4 2.66. So 2.66 is the smallest number. So divided by 2.66 by 2.66 divided by 2.66. Okay, so step 3, that is equal to 1. That is equal to 1.5. So 1.5. 1.5. In last step, the simplest ratio. The simplest ratio value in whole number. Simplest ratio value in whole number. Already you know that the empirical formula is the simplest whole number ratio. Simplest whole number ratio, but the simplest ratio value is given in fraction. Okay, so converted into whole number. Are you right? So the simplest ratio value is obtained in step 3. The simplest value obtained in step 3. How to convert whole number? Okay, the simplest ratio value obtained in the step 3 are not whole number, then they may be converted into whole number by multiplying by a smallest number. Are you right? So step 3 la kadacha simplest ratio value whole number ah illa appadina. Are you right? The simplest ratio value obtained in step 3 are not whole number, then they may be converted into whole number by multiplying by a smallest number. Okay, so இந்த number வந்து whole number ah illa அப்படினா நமக்கு empirical formula ratio smallest ratio whole number ah தான் வேணும். அப்ப இத ஒரு smallest number வச்சு என்ன செஞ்சணும், smallest number வச்சு multiply பண்ணு. அப்போ 2 ஆல இத எல்லாமே multiply பண்ணிடலாம். Okay, so 1 into 2 2 1 into 2 2. So 1.5 into 2 3. 1.5 into 2 3. Okay, so get simplest ratio in whole number. Okay, the empirical formula of the compound. The empirical formula of the okay, so the empirical formula of the compound is equal to, first write the atomic symbol of the presence in the compound. Okay, so carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and subscript the value in the atomic symbol. So C2H3 and O3. C2H3O3. Okay, the empirical formula of the compound is C2H3O3 found in tamarines. Found in tamarines. Are you right? Okay. Okay, students. The next one is calculate the empirical and molecular formula. Determination of molecular formula from elemental analysis data. Elemental analysis data, right? So, example, calculate the empirical and molecular formula of a compound containing 76.6 carbon, 6.38 hydrogen and rest oxygen. The total percentage 100. Okay, so the rest oxygen means the remaining percentage. Okay, 76.6 and 6.3. Okay, so 100 minus the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. Sum of the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. So remaining percentage is oxygen. Okay, so 76.6 in carbon, 6.38. Okay, so in hydrogen, so the percentage of oxygen, okay, 207. So 17.02. The rest of oxygen percentage is 17.02%. Rest means remaining percentage. Okay, so the rest oxygen is, okay, so the vapor density is 47. Vapor density is 47. Okay, so which of the element presents in the compound? Element carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Element carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay, next percentage 76.6, hydrogen 6.38 and oxygen 17.02. So element, next percentage, next molar mass. Molar mass or atomic mass. Molar mass or atomic mass of carbon 12 gram, hydrogen 1, oxygen 60. Okay, next relative atomic mass. Sorry, relative number of moles. Relative number of moles. Okay, so how to calculate relative number of moles? So mass divided by atomic mass. So 76 by 6 by 12 and 6.38 by 1 and 17.02 divided by 16. Okay, so that is equal to 76.6 divided by 12 is equal to 6.38. Okay, that is equal to 6.38 divided by 1, 6.38. Okay, so 17.02 divided by 60 is equal to 1.06. 1.06. Okay, so relative number of moles. Relative number of moles in carbon 6.38, hydrogen 6.38 and oxygen 1.06. Okay, so next simplest ratio. Simplest ratio. Simplest ratio. So divide the relative number of moles by the smallest number of them. By the smallest number of them. So smallest number 1.06. So 6.38 divided by 1.06, 6.38 divided by 1.06 and 1.06 divided by 1.06. So more or less equal to 6, 6, 1. Okay, the simplest ratio value is given in the simplest ratio value obtained by whole number. Obtained by whole number. Okay, so the empirical formula. Empirical formula. The empirical formula, write the symbol carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so put the simplest ratio value in the substance of the each atomic symbol. Okay, C6H6O1. Okay, so C6H6O is the empirical formula of the compound. The next molecular formula of the compound. So molecular formula. The molecular formula of the compound, right? The molecular formula of a compound is the whole number of the whole number multiple of the whole number multiple of the empirical formula. The whole number multiple of the empirical formula. So how to calculate whole number? The whole number can be calculated from molar mass of the compound by using following expression. Okay, so whole number n. The whole number n is equal to molar mass or molecular mass. Molar mass divided by calculated molar mass divided by calculated empirical formula mass. Calculated empirical formula mass. Right? The molecular formula of a compound is the whole number multiple of the empirical formula. Okay, so how to calculate whole number? The whole number is equal to molar mass divided by calculated empirical formula mass. Okay, so the molar mass is given in this sum. Okay, so directly given in sum in molar mass or indirectly to gives the vapor density values. Vapor density, molar mass is equal to the molar mass is equal to 2 into vapor density. Already know in 10th standard. Okay, so molar mass is equal to 2 into vapor density. Therefore, the molar mass of the compound 2 into vapor density 47, that is equal to 94. The molar mass of the compound is 94. Alright, so the whole number calculation, that is equal to the molar mass of the compound 94 divided by the calculated empirical formula mass. The empirical formula mass carbon. Okay, so 6 carbon into 12, 72, right? And hydrogen, 6 hydrogen into 1, 6. And oxygen, 16. How many oxygen? Sorry, 1 oxygen, 1 into 16, 16. Okay, so 94. 6, 6, 12, 14, remaining 1, 8, 1, 9, 90. So the empirical formula mass are also 94. So 94 divided by 94 is equal to 1. Are you right? So the molecular formula is equal to whole number, the whole number multiple of the empirical formula. Okay, so the empirical formula into N is equal to molecular formula. Alright? So the molecular formula is equal to the whole number multiple of the empirical formula. Are you right? So the molecular formula of the compound is equal to the empirical formula C6H6O into 1. So the molecular formula is C6H6O, and the empirical formula is equal to C6H6O. So both are same in this compound. Empirical formula and molecular formula are also same in this compound. You right? Okay, students. The next one is the determination of molecular formula from empirical formula. Okay, so empirical formula இருந்து molecular formula எப்படி கொண்டு வரது அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு சில எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் பார்க்க போறோம். Okay, so compound acetic acid, okay, so first hydrogen peroxide, lactic acid, okay, acetic acid, hydrogen peroxide, lactic acid, tartaric acid, and benzene. Okay, so first column. Second, empirical formula. Empirical formula: acetic acid CH3COOH. So carbon 1 to 2 carbon 2, hydrogen 4, oxygen 2. Okay. The empirical formula is simplest ratio. So CH2O. Okay, 2 carbon 4 CH2. Next, hydrogen peroxide H2O2, so HO or OH. Okay, the simplest formula of lactic acid CH3CHOH bond COOH. So how many carbon? 1 2 3 C3 H 3 4 5 6 H6 and O3. Right? So simplest ratio C2O. Okay, so CH2O. Next, tartaric acid COOH bond CHOH twice COOH is a tartaric acid. Carbon 3 in tartaric acid, carbon 3 and hydrogen carbon 4, 1 2 times, so 2 3 4 C4, carbon 4 times, hydrogen 2 4 5 6 hydrogen, right? So 2 plus 2 4 5 6 hydrogen, oxygen 2 4 6, oxygen 6. So simplest ratio 2 C2 H3 3 O3. Benzene C6H6, so C6H6 CH. Okay, so next empirical formula. Next, molar mass of the compound. molar mass. Okay, sumல molar mass அவங்களே கொடுத்துடுவாங்க. Okay, so molar mass of acetic acid 60, in molar mass of hydrogen peroxide 34, in molar mass of acetic acid 90. Okay, so tartaric acid molar mass 150 and benzene C6H6, so molar mass 78. So sumல அவங்களே கொடுத்துருவாங்க. Okay, so next empirical formula mass. இது நம்ம தான் கால்குலேட் பண்ணோம். empirical formula. So empirical formula mass. Carbon 12, hydrogen 2, oxygen 16. So total 30. The empirical formula mass of acetic acid 30 and hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen 16, hydrogen 1. So 17, 12, 16, 2 in lactic acid. Okay, so 30. It's the same value. Acetic acid and lactic acid 30. Okay, so same formula. So same value. The next tartaric acid, carbon 2, 12 plus 12 and oxygen 3, 3 into 16 plus hydrogen 3. Okay, so 75. 75. Next benzene, carbon 12, hydrogen 1. So 13. Right? So the molecular formula. Molecular formula is equal to the whole number multiple of empirical formula. So next whole number. Next whole number n value. Already you know that the molecular formula is equal to empirical formula into n times. The whole number multiple of empirical formula is molecular formula. Okay, so how to calculate whole number? The molar mass divided by calculated empirical formula mass. Okay, molar mass 60, empirical formula mass 30. Okay, so molar mass 34, empirical formula mass 17, molar mass 90, empirical formula mass 80, molar mass 150, empirical formula mass 75, molar mass 78 and the empirical formula mass 18. Okay, so 60 by 32. Okay, 70, 34 by 70 are also 2. Right? So 90 by 33. 75 by 150 by 75. 150 divided by 75. So 2 times 2. Okay, so 78 by 13. 78 by 13. So 6 into 3, 7. Okay, so 6. Okay, so the whole number value 2, 2, 3 and 2, 6. 2, 6. The next molecular formula. The molecular formula is equal to whole number multiple of empirical formula. Okay, so molecular formula. In molecular formula, the empirical formula n. The whole number multiple of the empirical formula. So the empirical formula CH2O into 2. Okay, that is equal to molecular formula C2H4O2, right? C2H4O2. Next, the molecular formula, empirical formula HO in 2 times, right? Whole number. So, molecular formula of hydrogen peroxide H2O2. H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, acidic acid. Right? Then next, the molecular formula of lactic acid, the empirical formula of lactic acid, CH2O. CH2O, right? CH2O into 3. So C3H6O3. C3H6O3. Next, tartaric acid. Tartaric acid, empirical formula C2H3O3 into 2. Okay, C4H6 and O6. C4H6O6. Okay, so last one is benzene. Benzene CH 6 times. CH 6 times. So C6H6. C6H6. So benzene. Okay. So molecular formula of acetic acid, hydrogen peroxide, lactic acid, tartaric acid, and benzene. Okay, students. Homework. So homework. Evaluate yourself. Question number 6, 5 and 6. Okay. So homework. The empirical and molecular formula calculation homework. Evaluate yourself. Question number 5 and 6. Question number 5 and 6. So okay, students. Thank you, students. We'll meet next class.